Class will be for the ISEE lower level English. We'll be covering both aspects of it, the language and vocabulary, and we'll also be covering the reading portion of it. So the ISEE is the Independent School Entrance Exam, and it's used for admission to private middle schools and high schools. They're usually taken in January, so we'll have our fall class. It'll get you all kind of mentally prepared and ready for the test in January. So that's how that will work. Since IC scores are usually due in January, we have the course early so that you're ready to take it in November. Okay. And then you'll be ready to turn in your scores whenever they are due. Okay. So that's how that will work. That way, if you have a November score that you're like, I could do better than that, I feel like I could do better than that, then you can retake it in January or December. And you can see over here that there's 3 different windows. And so our course will go till about right here. So you can take it once in November. And then you can also retake it in December because there's 2 different terms there, or in early January before the scores have to be turned in. Can everybody hear me? Good. All right. Any questions about why the fall course and when it's preparing you to take it? Awesome. The lower level, the one that we're taking it, most of you should be grade 4 or grade 5, and you're looking to go into grade 5 or grade 6. Okay, give me a thumbs up if you're grade 4 or grade 5. Grade 4 or grade 5. Eli, are you grade 4 or are you a 4th grader or a 5th grader this year?
Nothing.
Neither one of those? Okay, that's okay. So maybe it's getting you ready. Maybe it's getting you ready for next year, okay? All right, perfect. There's 2 different classes. There's a math class and an English class. I do the English class only, okay? I do the English class only, and it'll be on Mondays from 6:30 to 8 p.m., and it'll go from August 19th to November 11th. And it gives you information there. It also tells you about the information about the IC lower level class, the math class. Okay. All right. So the test takes about 45 minutes. Okay. And there's 2 different parts of it. There's the verbal reasoning. That's the one that we're going to go over. That's the vocabulary and language. It's 34 questions and you have 20 minutes. Okay. So I know it's not a math test, but if you only have 20 minutes or 34 questions, can you take a minute for every question? No. Okay. You'd run out of time. So we're going to work on that vocabulary to where you have, that speediness to it. Okay. On reading comprehensions, there's 25 questions. Okay. And you'll have 25 minutes. And so it works out that way. If you look at the bottom, okay, so those are the 2 portions that we cover in my class. Okay, the essay isn't covered in my class. We'll talk a little bit about it, but it's not really where we cover our time. Okay, and then the 2 portions of the math test, the mathematics achievement and the quantitative reasoning. That's what's covered in the Sunday session for math. So the verbal reasoning section consists of 2 types of questions, vocabulary and sentence completion. Each vocabulary item consists of an abstract grade level appropriate word followed by, where possible, answer choices. Each sentence completion item consists a sentence with 1 missing word or pair of words followed by 4 potential answer choices. Okay, so it has a blank, and then you have to fill in the blank. And we're going to see some examples. Okay. A student must select the word or pair of words that most appropriately completes the context of the sentence. And for reading comprehension, you'll be given 25 minutes to answer the 25 reading comprehension questions. Okay. Now, the thing about the reading comprehension questions is they're not all nonfiction. You're going to have some science ones. You'll have some fiction ones where there's characters and events and character traits. You'll have some where there's a central idea and there's supporting details, and you'll have some that are cause and effect. So we need to look at numerous different types of passages in this course so that y'all are used to the several different types of reading passages that you may see. So you'll get a raw score. Okay, each question answered is plus 1 point. You do not lose points for skipping a question, and you do not lose points for answering a question incorrectly. Okay, so if you don't get finished and you run out of time, okay, do you lose points for the ones that you don't finish? No. Okay, you just don't get positive points. Okay, but if you don't lose points for wrong answers, okay, that also means, okay, that you should probably answer that. Okay, and then you'll get a percentile score. So this is our goal, to get you in that 7, 8, and 9 range. And a lot of that's going to come with that repetitive practice. Okay, so the more that we practice it, okay, and the more that you're comfortable with it, and the more you're familiar with what the questions look like, what the test operates like, when you're familiar with that, okay, you're going to score higher. A lot of people, whenever they score lower on tests, they're scoring lower on tests because they have anxiety or they feel something about the test and they're like, oh my gosh, I need to do well. I need to do well. And then they worry so much about doing well that they're not really prepared for the test. So we're going to get you prepared for the test enough to where you don't worry about the test itself. You just focus on the questions and answers. Okay. And this is where you get a report that shows which questions you got incorrect, okay, out of it. Okay, and then it gives you your standing score. And we feel good, okay, for getting you, remember, okay, 7, 8, and 9 is what we're going for. Okay, we're gonna get you set up, okay, for that 7, 8, and 9. Some of the schools in Houston, it gives you some examples down at the bottom. Some of them want 6 plus, some of them want 7 plus. Okay, so we're going for that 7, 8, 9 to get you set up. All right. So let's look at some sample questions. Okay, so this is that first type of vocabulary question. These are our synonym questions. Okay, so devote, and it gives us 4 options for devote: commit, pick, submit, try. What are we thinking for that one? Frank, what are you thinking for the answer on number 1?
D.
D for try. Okay, so it's actually going to be A, and we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that whenever we look at the whenever we're looking at the examples. We'll go over some of these words. Okay, but when you're devoting yourself to something, like I devote myself to world peace, or I devote myself to curing my dog's illness. Okay, you're committed to it. Okay, all right, let's go with fundamental. Let's go with Xinjiang. Fundamental: crazy, important, severe, or surplus. Carolyn, I'm going to give you credit for number two. Okay, so yes, Carolyn told us that fundamental means B, important. Okay, if you talk about something, a fundamental ingredient in a recipe, okay, would be an important ingredient in that recipe. Not crazy, not severe, not surplus. Isan, prejudice. Number 3, prejudice. Are you thinking bias, comfort, justice, or knowledge?
A.
A, bias? Yeah, definitely going to be bias. Good. Let's go with Claire. Elaborate, considerate, detailed, difficult, or tiring.
B.
It is going to be B. Now, here's the tricky thing with these is, do they give you a sentence where the word is used? No, they don't. Do they give you an example of how the word is used? No, they don't. So your difficulty, okay, is going to be that you have to just quickly, because remember, okay, you don't even have 1 minute for each of these. And these type of questions are going to be the ones that you're going to want to do the quickest. Okay. So you don't have a full minute to look at it. So just quickly, okay, and then just get the answer out that's on the tip of your tongue. Okay. So if I have an elaborate plans for my birthday, okay, elaborate plans for my birthday. Claire said those would be detailed plans for my birthday. Good. Let's go with Evelyn. Disgraceful, appropriate, elegant, embarrassing, or praiseworthy.
C, embarrassing.
Good. Yes. C, embarrassing. Good. Let's go with vigilant. Jin. Vigilant, disobedient, intolerant, observant, or picky. You still can't hear me? Eli, you can hear me, right? Okay. You might adjust the volume on your laptop, Carolyn. Sometimes that does it. Sometimes it does it for me. Sometimes I've been in class in the past, and that's happened to me. Let's go with Ava.
Is it for number 6?
Yeah, let's do number 6. Vigilant, disobedient, intolerant, observant, or picky.
Would it be B?
Intolerant, you might think that, okay, because of the way that you're associating some of the synonym, some of the context of the words and things like that, but it's actually going to be C, observant. Okay. So if you think of like Batman, he was vigilant in his protection of the city. Why? Because he's observant. If you think about like a lady that's vigilantly watching her neighborhood. Okay. So salvage, number 7. Let's go back to Eli. Salvage, decorate, discard, rescue, or stain. Rescue. Good. Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's go with crystal. Crystal, consequence, cause, effect, payment, or responsibility.
Is it B?
It is going to be effect. Good. Now it kind of tripped. Like we associate a cause with a consequence, what caused us to need that consequence, but it is going to be the effect. Good. Let's go with acknowledge. Acknowledge, elevate, recognize, store, or study. Let's go acknowledge. Ethan.
D.
D is study. So it's going to be recognize. So I acknowledge that you gave me the answer. Okay. I am recognizing, okay, that you guys gave me the answer. So we're going to mix it up just a little bit here. And we're going to take a slight pause. Okay. Wonderful. Wonderful to hear, Carolyn. So we're going to take a slight pause from the. Sometimes we will have games practicing these synonyms, okay, during class, okay? It's all about that quick repetition. So sometimes competing against classmates where you're quickly answering some of these questions encourages growth in that word recognition. So here we go. For those of you that are familiar, we'll be playing Look It. So you'll see here where you go join to play.lookit.com, and you're going to enter in this code 237-9253. If you're late joining, that's okay. We're going to start. If you're late joining, it's play Blooket, and the code's up here in the right corner. So just like the synonyms that we just did, these are more. Here we go. Good job. We will have games mixed in with the week for that repetition of the synonyms. Okay, so you'll see synonyms. You'll see in just a second. You'll see the sentence completions. We have some games built around the sentence completion games too. Okay, all right. Let's go back to these. Reprimands. Let's go, Eli. Did you say D?
I said B.
Okay, sorry. So B for recall, so it would be scold. I don't know why it's capitalized. Sometimes the books have typos like that. You'll see one on 15 in just a second. But so it would be scold. Okay, Caroline, let's go with emphasize. So would that be hide, highlight, increase, or sympathize? Which one?
D.
D, sympathize. Okay, so for
C.
emphasize,
C.
it would be highlights. Okay, it's going to be highlights. All right, let's go with Frank. Sentiment, dream, enjoyment, feeling, or law.
C.
Feeling, excellent. Let's go with Captain. Hostile. Would that be aggressive, crowded, stylish, or welcoming?
A.
Aggressive, wonderful. Let's go with Evelyn. Improve, confirm, enhance, start, or weaken.
Enhance.
Enhance, wonderful. Let's go with Qingzhan. Let's go with genuine, authentic, intelligent, graceful, unbelievable. So genuine would be authentic. Okay. Obnoxious, bothersome, generous, honest, or impossible. Isan. Obnoxious.
A.
A, bothersome. Good. Solemn, carefree, distracted, feisty, or serious. Eli. Yeah, Eli. If we get rid of some of them, okay, we can get rid of carefree and feisty. So that would just leave distracted or serious. Okay. And which one are you thinking, Eli?
D.
D, good. Ava, help me out with catastrophe. Boon, misfortune, mood, or reunion. If it's a catastrophe, does that sound like a reunion? So we can probably get rid of reunion and mood. And you're probably confused by what boon means, right? That'll happen sometimes. But do we know? Okay, so miss. Does miss come before something that's good or bad?
Bad.
Bad, right? In a catastrophe, do you understand that as being something good or bad?
Bad.
There we go. Okay, so on
B.
some, it'd be B. And for something like that, remember, okay, the quicker, okay, you do some of those, okay, mental kind of corrections or cross outs and things like that, it'll save you time. Okay, all right, last page of them. Subtle, okay, apparent, blinding, deafening, or faint. Go ahead and you can put in the chat You can put in the chat your answer for 19. Seeing a couple of different answers. Okay, so for subtle, it would be faint. Okay, D. Okay, when there's a subtle difference in things. When there is a subtle difference in things, it's a faint difference. So that would be the faint difference. If we look at contrast, that'd be flame, brightness, difference, or secret. And anybody, Angel, go ahead.
Can you say that again?
For number 20, we look at flame, brightness, difference, or secret.
C.
C for difference. Good. Provoke, cancel, capture, demonstrate, taunt. Let's go with that one. We'll go with Frank.
D.
I'm sorry, Frank, go again.
D.
D for taunt. Good. Concur. Okay. Eason, let's go with agree, attach, defeat, or summarize.
A.
Good. Let's go with accelerate. Carolyn, hamper, hinder, increase, or yield.
Increase.
Beautiful. Yes. Chronological. Crystal. Chronological. Would that be consecutive, purposeful, rapid, or slow?
Is it D?
Or slow? No, it would be consecutive. So when we think about like the events that happen in order, chronological order, those would be consecutive. We have abrupt, confusing, extended, predictable, or sudden. Let's go with Ava.
Would it be Sudden?
Sudden, good, lavish, avid, fancy, spotless, or tiresome. Evelyn?
B, fancy.
Beautiful, yes. Adept. Let's go with Angel. Adept, crude, skilled, sloppy, unprofessional. So if you are adept at being a good debater, what do you think it would be? It would be skilled. All right. So that's the synonym portion. We're going to do a lot of practice on the synonym portion because it's something like we've talked about. You've got to be getting these under a minute. Okay. So you're going to be going with your gut feeling, but getting through those, the ones that are wrong choices and just quickly identifying it. Okay. So these are the sentence completion ones. To protect the health of diners, cooks must blank with the rule to wash their hands after using the bathroom. They must comply. They must defy. They must disagree. They must grow. Well, we see the word rule. Is grow something that you would do with a rule? No. We see dis here, and as we talked about earlier, using that prefix, we know that dis is a negative. Okay, so would disagree or unagree with the rule, would that be something that you would want cooks to do with their bathroom? No. Okay, so that leaves us with defy and comply. And Frank, which answer would you pick?
I think A.
Comply. Good. Pressing the reset button on a smartphone or computer will blank the device back to its original factory settings. Advance, progress, revert, or strike. Carolyn, which one are we thinking?
Revert.
Revert. Wonderful. Yes, ma'am. Let's go. When Anastasia moved to a new city, she knew that she had to blank to a new lifestyle and find new friends. So we see this word new a lot in there. New, new, new. So would that be something you'd associate with adapt, cease, demand, or happen? Let's go with Carolyn. A, yes, adapting. Good. Angel, let's go with number 4 for you. The ridiculous painting of a flying pig eating a donut was the most blank thing Kiana had ever seen.
Observe.
Absurd. And we see that word ridiculous there, and we know that absurd is a synonym. So sometimes with these sentence completions, we always get context clues, but sometimes we'll get direct synonyms that we can use. So it's very much similar to that first type of question that we looked at. Okay. So moving on. Okay. This is our first sample reading. Okay. Now you'll notice that there's about 5 questions. Okay. 5 questions for each reading. Okay. Now, if you'll remember, you get 25 minutes. Okay. And 25 questions. So if there's 5 questions for every reading, okay, you're going to have about 5 passages. And they're not always going to be the same. Okay. They're going to be, some are science-based, some are history-based, some are short stories. I had just downloaded Goats, the most exciting new game, to my smartphone. The game had just finished downloading when my friend Mickey shouted, "Hey, Frankie, come on, we're leaving." Before long, we passed through the vine-covered gates of Adventureland, the nearby amusement park. Dan dragged us straight to Mystery Forest, since he loved the rides and games there. He suggested that we go through the Pine Maze first. I told my 3 friends that I was going to skip that ride and found a bench where I could sit and go on adventures with my goat. That was so cool, shouted Alyssa as they exited the maze, laughing with each other. I too was excited, but for a different reason. I had already reached level 9. It was Mickey's turn to pick a ride, and she wanted to go on the roller coaster all the way in Soggy Swamp. We arrived at the roller coaster just as I hit level 10. I was actually surprised at how quickly we had walked all the way across the park. All I knew was that my goat was eating more than ever, and I couldn't stop now. When my friends got off the roller coaster, they walked over to where I was sitting. Their eyes were wide and their hair was wild. "It's your turn, Frankie. Where do you want to go?" asked Dan. At that moment, my goat had run into some trouble, and I half mumbled something to the effect of being hungry. "All right, lunch it is," said Dan. Head down and eyes glued to my screen, I followed the shadows of my friends to the food. "Why don't you take a break from that?" Dan asked as he bit into a cheeseburger. I told him I would, but that I just wanted to finish the level I was working on. Before I knew it, though, everyone had finished their lunches and my hot dog and fries remained uneaten. Soon we were off to Buffalo Bumper Cars, our next ride. Since I was busy working on the next level, I started to fall behind. As I rushed to catch up with my friends, I crashed headfirst into someone and dropped my phone. It fell to the ground and the screen shattered. Worse yet, my goat disappeared from the screen and I couldn't turn the phone back on. Devastated, I told my friends what happened when I caught up to them. "How about you come on the next ride with us? It's one of my favorites. I think it'll make you feel better," Dan assured me. I didn't think so. I'd already made it to level 14. How was a stupid ride going to make me feel better? But since I had nothing better to do, I strapped into a car that looked like a buffalo. Dan, Mickey, and Alyssa got into cars around me. The ride operator counted down from 3, and we all drove our cars right into one another. A smile spread across my face. This was nothing like the goat game. Were all the rides this fun? When all the bumping and crashing had finished, I asked which ride we were going on next. Mickey told us that her mom was going to be here any minute and that we needed to wait out front for her. As we left the park, I couldn't believe how many exciting rides I hadn't even noticed all day. My friends were talking about all the fun that they had had, but but I didn't have anything to add. Next time I went out with my friends, I would make an effort to look up. All right, so in this one, okay, when you're reading a passage like this, remember it's got characters, character traits, events that happen, cause and effect. So the passage is primarily concerned with describing the relationship between four friends, explaining how to play an exciting video game, showing how technology can sometimes have a cost, ranking the rides at an amusement park from most to least fun. Let's go with Ethan. The passage is primarily concerned with which of those?
C.
Yep, it definitely came with a cost in this one. Good. By saying that he was surprised at how quickly we had walked across the park, the author suggests he and his friends are fast walkers. He didn't realize how far they had gone. The park is much bigger than he had originally thought. They only stopped at a few rides and games along the way. Let's go with Angel.
A.
Hey, he and his friends were fast walkers. Good. The passage gives information to answer which of the following questions. How many levels are in Goats? Which ride is Mickey's favorite? What is the name of the passage narrator? How many times have the friends been to Adventureland? Let's see. All right, let's go with Evelyn. Number 3.
B.
B. So it's going to be C. Okay. And so it's going to be C. It tells us what ride Mickey chooses, but it never tells us it's Mickey's favorite. But if we look at the very first paragraph, line 4, okay, if we look at line 4, it tells us what? The narrator's name, okay? Frankie is playing. The function of the paragraph in line 63 to 65, so way down here, a smile spread across my face. This was nothing like the goat game. All the rides this fun is mainly to show an change of attitude, compare a ride to a video game, summarize the author's feeling about goats, express disappointment for the Buffalo bumper cars. Crystal, which answer, so we're going to flip it, which answer can I get rid of? Which do we know is a wrong answer?
Like the D.
Yeah, we know D is definitely a wrong answer. Okay. So now looking at it, okay, is it let's see, Eli? Yes, Eli. Can we get which other answer can we get rid of? Oh, all right. Let's go with, I thought he was still here. All right, let's go with Carolyn. What other answer can I get rid of?
C.
Summarize the author's feelings about goats. Yeah. So we look at a change of attitude, okay, or compare a ride to a video game. Okay. And if you look at that, and so which one? okay, are we leaning towards? A change of attitude, or comparing a ride to a video game? Let's go. I'll just let anybody call out.
A.
Yep, the change in attitude is the main point of that one. Okay. So we look at number 5. Okay, the emotion expressed in 71 through 75 can best be described. Okay, as we left the park, I couldn't believe how many exciting looking rides I hadn't even noticed all day. My friends were talking about all the fun that they had had, but I didn't have anything to have. Okay, so that's not fear. We know that's not fear. Okay, does it sound like satisfaction? Nope. Okay, so disgust or regret? What are we thinking? Let's go, Crystal. Disgust or regret?
Regret.
Regret. Good. All right. So we've got so we're going to do plenty, okay, so we'll have reading passages and some of the synonyms for homework. We will have, we'll play games in class, but we'll also do quick recounts, okay? We'll look at quick recalls on how to get rid of wrong answer choices, okay? And prepare for the test. We're going to look at different types of reading passages, how to break them down to be easier to comprehend, okay? Now it's you guys' turn. Do you guys have any questions for me on either how the class will work, okay, or how the test looks, anything like that?
Hi, Ms. Davis. Is there any suggestions on how to build up vocabulary? Because it's kind of most tough part for the kids.
No, it is. And the best part is exposure. They'll get exposed to that vocabulary through the readings that we do, but also just that repetitive. We're going to look at probably close to 200 words every 2 weeks. So the amount of words that they'll be exposed to will help as well.
Okay, thank you.
Not a problem. I appreciate y'all coming out, and I look forward to seeing some of you in the class. Thank you, guys.